All right, so this is a sponsored segment for Fatal Core TCG. It is currently in beta and does not have an installable client, but you can play fully in your web browser at fatalcoretcg.com. The gameplay in Fatal Core is really unique and pretty novel. Let's go ahead and kick off with. I like to kick off with a tutorial game, so that way we don't have to have the pressure of it counting down on us while we go. So I can explain through some of the basics of the gameplay here. So, Fatal Core, the way the turn system works is there's a lot of public information in this game. So at the start of the game, you have a 6-card hand, and you can mulligan either everything or nothing. And if you elect to, after you have your hand that you are keeping, you pick 2 cards in your hand to hide. So, for example, I'm going to hide, my 2 pieces of removal here. And this game has a lot of public information in it. So, similar to how I've hidden 2 cards, my opponent has also hidden 2 cards in their opening 6-card hand. So we can see here, they have 6 cards as well. The turns in Fatal Core are taken simultaneously. So, each player in Fatal Core, each turn, picks a card, chooses the targets for that card, and then what happens with them is revealed simultaneously. The gameplay on the board, the gameplay is played out onto these 6 spaces here, and the spaces either have a modifier that gives something a keyword. In this case, at this spot gives my opponent's card a mana magnet, which basically turns it into a counter spell. Or they give simple stat modifiers, either extra toughness or extra attack and minus toughness, things like that. So the deck that I am playing is based around the idea of generating these Defiant Wisp cards. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this Assemble card, and I play it and I choose a row on my board, and it fills a row with Defiant Wisps. So you can see here, we played our cards simultaneously. My opponent elected to play a unit into their mana magnet spot, and if a unit has mana magnet, it gets sacrificed to counter a spell. So because I elected to play a spell there, their mana magnet got rid of it. Every turn, each player draws 1 card, and one more time over the course of the game, you can elect to hide the card that you're drawing for the turn. So, your decks have 18 total cards in them, so you generally see your entire deck. Most games, the games last up to 12 turns. So, I think this one's actually worth hiding. This is another piece of interaction, so it has mana magnet as well. So, generally, cards that are going to directly interact with your opponent's cards are cards that are good decisions to end up hiding, I think. Morning, Hespera. Or afternoon now. Alright, so Scarred Disciple here summons a Defiant Wisp every single turn, so I'm going to go ahead and get this down. And notably, this card deals damage to itself to summon Defiant Wisps, so I'm going to want to deploy Scarred Disciple onto a spot on my board that gives it extra toughness, so that way it has a chance to generate extra Defiant Wisps for me. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy it to this +0/+2 spot, so it has 7 life. So you can see this summoned a Defiant Wisp, and then dealt some damage to itself. Their card here says, give a random test subject or Alchemist Coffin you control Resolve to, where Resolve gives it extra life each turn. They also notably put this card in their mana magnet spot here, so I can play any spell out of my hand to get rid of this. Hey, thanks to whoever gifted this sub to Hespera. I appreciate it. I think I'm just gonna play the Architect of Light here. So the way the life totals and turns work in this game, you'll notice I took 3 and my opponent took 2. Units don't attack other units directly in this game, with the exception of the hunt keyword. So at the end of every turn, every unit on each player's board deals damage to the opponent's life total. Yeah, I believe Hespera is their community manager, if I recall. Is that correct, Hespera? Am I remembering that accurately? Say plate a gruesome experiment, deal 2 damage to random opposing creature, and then summon a test subject for themselves. So summons a Defiant Spirit for us. The test subject at the end of every turn deals a damage to one of my things, and then it makes itself bigger. So it slowly kills itself while giving itself more attack each turn. I think I'm just playing a spell at this point to get rid of their Mana Magnet card. Kind of feel like I want to work through that so that way I can play some of my other spells. So it doesn't really matter what I target with this Tremor, because they have a Mana Magnet unit, so my spell's going to get countered. We still wipe out their thing, though. So something you'll see happen here when my things die is when things die in this game, they leave a corpse behind in one of the squares. So there are... The Mana Magnet explicitly does not leave corpses behind. It erases or kind of exiles the thing. But units that die normally leave these bodies behind, and you can't deploy another unit over a square that has a corpse in it. So there are cards in the deck like Cleanse here. Erase a corpse from your board to get a Defiant Spirit. So this card helps manage corpses on our board while also being interactive. So they're a resource that you work off of a little bit. I want to kill their giant test subject here. So we're kind of back to parity here, except my board is currently littered with corpses and theirs isn't, so I have a little bit less space to work with at the moment. Each turn, erase an opposing unit with Mana Magnet, and this is a 5/5 Resort Doom. Each turn, you +1/+1 to 2 friendly units, excluding this one. So we have a bunch of pump in our hand, and unfortunately not a whole lot else going on. I guess we'll do this and clean out a corpse spot here. Kind of waiting on a card that can let us clear these corpses out. These damage my things every turn, so they're probably just gonna... Or I think we're probably dead to the bot at this point. This deck that we're playing doesn't seem very good. I imported a number of decks that were recommended to me, and some of them have been better than others. Our deck notably seems extra bad against this Mana Magnet every turn. That Prisoner 218 gets. Alright, let's play against an actual person. Let's try that one again one more time to see if it's just bad or if that was bad against the dork that has Mana Magnet all the time. Hopefully my internet works today. We were good yesterday. Apparently my fiber provider on Monday towards the end cut out. They had like a region-wide outage. One of the subs who's in Indiana, which is a state over for me, said their service cut out there too. Was down for like an hour. Which, compared to when I had Comcast many years ago, that's only the second unscheduled outage they've had on me, so all things considered, they're batting solidly above average compared to other ISPs. What's going on, Alistair? Good afternoon. See, it seems good. I'm gonna again hide my piece of removal. Our opponent's playing prisoner. Prisoner 218 again. Do I see the opponent's, do I get to see the opponent's lead before we start? Which determines the board space modifiers each player has. Your lead champion does. So whichever of the lead champion determines what your board space modifiers are, as well as what's what I'm searching for, as well as your which cards you can put in your deck. That's pretty fortunate that the Defiance wins twice. So this is gonna kill this, but then this will kill this one. Does this still summon a Whisper the turn? It does. Okay, so that's good for us. Erase all corpses on your board. Yeah, that one's getting put down. This is a 0-20 to start, and it slowly loses life and gains more. Okay, I'll have to pay more attention to that. I think we want to just get this down this turn. So this erases the corpses and gains some life here. And then you can see all my things deal damage equal to their power to my opponent's health. Erase target creature on the opponent's board. Hide that one for now. This summons 2 Defiant Wisps, which seems great. So let's go ahead and get this one down. It'll put Defiant Wisps in these spots for us. Erase target creature from your opponent's board. It changes the field spot to erase each turn. Let's read. So every turn, whatever unit we have in the space gets erased. So this is pretty reasonable with our many units we have in place. So let's get her down. So they're going to summon a bunch of test subjects here. And then these things every turn deal 2 damage at random to some of my things, and then they get smaller. Unfortunate that they hit that before it could get bigger. Deal 4 damage, slow 4, deal damage to everything in that row. Perfect. Here we go. Let's wipe out those ones, please. Wait, what? What did I miss? Oh, it's Mana Magnet. That's what I missed. I was like, why didn't they all go away? Because they have mana magnet. Yeah, our deck really does not seem good against Prisoner 218. I guess we're technically ahead here, but it's only turn 7, so they definitely have time to catch up at this point. So these are going to kill themselves here, though, because they'll deal 2 damage at random. And then they'll deal 2 to themselves, basically. The fact that Prisoner 218 basically prevents me from ever clearing out my my corpses feels real bad, though. I guess I deploy this here just because I don't have anything else to do otherwise. And then I suppose, like, we're just hoping this races them down. If it gain 8 there. Yeah, I think I'm just playing a spell to kill this 4/4 because it's in the mana magnet spot. Target row on your opponent's board, replace the contents of each occupied space with an obsolete android, and changes the field to soulless. Why can you only field change something once? Is that the rule? Because this should be soulless, right? Because all of these, can it not overwrite it a second time? Replace the contents of each occupied space with an obsolete android, field change soulless. Is that how it's intended to work? Or am I misunderstanding something? All right, sweet. We got to haunt here, and they didn't have the mana magnet in, so that will kill this at least for us. Oh yeah, maybe that's it. It only changes if there's a unit in it. It specifies it only targets occupied spaces. Really? And I can't go. I don't think the. I can go back. It says replace the contents of each field occupied with an obsolete android, field change soulless. Okay, so this only impacts occupied spaces. So all of these are going to hurt themselves and get bigger this turn. I think we're going to lose this race. I guess I could get Noble Guardian down because it helps me kill their stuff. Yeah, I feel like the attachment on the end there, ambiguous, is a good descriptor. This has Hunt, which means it attacks my unit, so it's not hitting me. I think that's fine then. If I played this here, it just dies to the Hunt unit. Howdy, Covern. We're dead. The playground has turned out great. We still have some ground, like just dirt underneath it is not going to be the final thing, but it's come together well. Kristen are happy with it. And I just don't think we have the ability to catch up from here. We're locked out on the bottom with these corpses, and they locked out our top spots up here with the field changes. Give this one more try, but this deck doesn't seem particularly good. We're playing against Prisoner again. Alright, I'm gonna I would like to play against not Prisoner 218. Alright, not Prisoner 218, got it. I'm gonna hide my removal to start. This is an indie game currently in beta, Covern. We're gonna start with Disciple here, because it gets the extra toughness. Gun's got a few pieces of removal, must be played on top of a corpse. So, the opponent's champion here is Hush, and he has 2 spots on his board that summon corpses every turn, and then he has a number of cards that have to be played on tops of corpses or use corpses as resources. So he generates them constantly. Hush has been the best champion that we've played with so far on stream. We were playing with him on Monday, and he seemed pretty reasonable. They forced us to redraw 2 of our cards there. They go ahead and play the Saint out here. She seems really good at keeping our corpses managed. The Paradox Bomb. This is one concern I have about neutral designs. Like, this card is just so powerful, and one of the issues that games like Hearthstone had is when you put really powerful cards like this into the neutral factions, a lot of your games can kind of get kind of samey, even when your people are playing different decks. Because, like, you could gravitate just towards playing more copies of the objectively good cards. It feels like it's a tough line to balance. I think I want a Fading Spirit here, because she will summon us some Defiant Wisps, which will generate corpses in turn for the Saint down the line. That's not super useful at the moment. Wait, is Defiant Wisp different from Defiant Spirit? In my head, these were the same, but they're definitely different artworks and different names. We'll get the Soul Scraper down because he powers up our other Dorkos. Wisps and spirits are different. The wisps are 0-3 and the spirits are 1-4s. Okay. This is 3/7. Each turn, give opposing creature -1 life. This also gives itself -1 life. I think I want to just get this down to keep powering up all my other units here. Hey, Plot Ninja. Pilot Ninja, thanks for the 15 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. But that did not work out particularly well. This at least makes itself huge. Keeps the board free of corpses. So the game's half done. The question is, can my opponent catch back up on the 30? I'm interested to see if my opponent can catch back up on the 30 life here in the second half of the game. We've gotten pretty far ahead here. I'm interested if they can catch back up from our snowball. That being said, our board is a lot worse than their board at this point, right? Like, the way they're controlling our game so far. Like, they basically locked us out of 3 of our 6 board slots in a prison-style setup. So, like, can they leverage the disadvantage they've put us on? Yeah, the opponent modified our board, so, like, this spot erases our unit every turn, and this gives -3 HP to the things that we deploy here. And they're starting to catch up in damage here. I'm gonna hide that one. That one I would like to play it this turn. Neighbor Mana Magnet. Alright, and now we're at a point where my opponent is ahead on board finally, but they're also like really far behind on life, and it's turn 10 and there's only 12 turns in the game. So like my opponent probably can't catch back up. They need to like catch up past 22. Alright, I mean, like, their Mana Magnet here just happened, and, like, these traded off, right? So, like, the boards are parity, but my opponent's got 2 plays to make up 24 points of damage. That just doesn't seem possible. And then this is the final turn, so I think I just play Scatter Shot, because it threatens to kill my opponent's stuff if they play it out. So yeah, so again, like, my opponent was able to make our board be kind of bad here, but we were able to get so set up early that their control ended up not mattering. Hey, good game, Slug. Sluggins. Tier 3 subs are good for 30 points towards something in the queue, Covern. So it's 50 plus the cost of the game to submit something. Is the Spyro Reignited, that's the remaster that happened, right? If so, I actually already have that game on Switch. So if you wanted to submit it, you wouldn't need to have the cost of the game in with it. Alright, the Spirits deck worked. Let's try that one again. Much better against not Prisoner 218. We're not getting Mana Magneted every turn. Prisoner 218 with the Mana Magnet on board seems like a pretty hard counter to any deck that's trying to play a lot of spells specifically. You just have, like, basically endless free counter spells. Not free, it takes up your resource, but just endless abilities to counter what your opponent's doing. Malvidia. Erase a thing. Mana Magnet. Again, I think I want to hide the things that allow me to be interactive. Although maybe I'm supposed to hide the Noble Guardian. This card beats people up pretty nicely. Actually, maybe I'm supposed to mulligan this hand. Yeah, I think maybe this hand was a bad keep. I don't have anything. I'm going to deploy this to start to be able to pressure their board, but I don't have anything in my deck that has, or my hand that generates wisps to start, and I kind of want those to start. I think that one's fine. We already have one of those in play. So the 2 elemental knights in random spaces on your board. If there are no other creatures on your board, give them 1 toughness. Yeah, that would be fine, Covert. Our opponent left the game. I missed that. I was thinking about what card I wanted to play. Thanks for the tier 3, Covern. I appreciate that. Appreciate that support. When was the last time I touched Magic? I am 3 weeks clean from Magic the Gathering, chat. I believe in you at home too. You too can also get clean of Magic the Gathering. I'm gonna hide my interactive pieces again. I don't know if hiding your interactive pieces again is strictly optimal, but it's what I've been doing when we've been playing. I think we just start with Assemble, huh? It seems like one of the better cards to have to start. Just like get your spirits going. But I'm playing the corpse theme champion again. Each turn, render an opposing creature with mana magnet soulless. Interesting. Makes the spirits and then gives them all a buff. And then, we can show that one. That one's fine. I think we're gonna go ahead and play the Prophet here out to get her pumping up our friendos. I think our first couple of games, I wasn't quite mulliganing appropriately with the deck. Having a way to get spirits going in the opener seems pretty important. Oh, this card's spell scarred, so it takes 1 extra damage from spells. That's fine, though. And it has resolve, so it gets bigger every turn. So, if I play a mana magnet down and they play a spell in the same turn, my mana magnet will counter their spell before the Inquisitor gets a chance to do anything, right? Is how that works? Put this down and start gaining some life back. That do? Oh, it deals 1 damage to all my stuff. That's pretty brutal. That's great. Saint Iria has been real good consistently. We'll get her down here. She cleans corpses up and gets lots of attack very quickly. We're up 11 points, which seems like a big advantage. I feel like once you hit like a double-digit lead, it's often hard for people to come back. We're also only at turn 4 though, so we're only a third of the way into the game, so they could catch back up. Yeah, so the game lasts 12 turns at most. It can end faster if you what terms for if you get your opponent's life total to 0. But decks are only 18 cards, and you start with 6 and draw 1 every turn. So generally speaking, you see your entire deck, but only play 12 of the 18 cards. I'm gonna go ahead and play Noble Guardian down here. He starts hammering my opponent's stuff. And the tiebreaker at the end of the 12 turns is life total. So generally speaking, the average length of the game is pretty similar. Alright, so they erased that one, but again, like, them answering my thing there that already dealt some damage to them, especially when they're kind of behind in the race, is, like, pretty good for us. So, like, this is dealing 6 up to them. I'm gonna hide that because it's a piece of removal. There's no draw phase on turn 1. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, so you see 17 out of 18 cards each game. That's a good thing I didn't think about. I think I'm just deploying another unit here. I expect them to play Shadow Stirrings here, but I've got that covered with this, I guess. Correct. You play 1 card per turn. One thing to note that's kind of like a resource system is some of the cards have this slow mechanic, which means they can only be played on or after a certain turn. So, like, there are some cards that are more powerful that can only be played later into the game. The deck we're currently playing is definitely the most aggressive deck I've played so far. We've gotten ahead and stayed ahead in a bunch of these games now that aren't against Prisoner 218. And it looks like this might be a game where our opponent actually eats it. Just gonna go ahead and deploy another unit here so we can try and kill them. And this has a mana magnet on it, so like their effect can't happen because of the mana magnet. These are lethal, right? Yeah. A lot of the games I've played so far in this go to 12, but the decks that we were playing previously were less aggressive than this one we're playing right now. The Dex command unfortunately does not work for Fatal Core. They are still in beta. Hopefully Twitch integration is something they could do at some point. It's really nice when that's baked into the client directly. If you're interested in playing with us, you can pop on to fatalcoretcg.com and just click into the ranked queue. Free to check out. And the game itself is completely purchase free. It's fully crowdfunded is the way they're looking to monetize. So if you play the game and enjoy it, you can check out their Patreon to support them on there. When they hit various goals on their Patreon, they give everybody on the client the rewards, and you earn cards just by playing. Hush is a very popular boy. Popular. I'm gonna again just keep up the theme of hiding my removal. I have Fading Spirit here as a way to summon some Defiant with, so I think that's good enough. We're not gonna look for one of my better ones. I'm in a mulligan looking for one of my better ways to make Defiant Spirits. Zan still just has Fading Spirit. That's fine. Hide that Mana Magnet in the Haunt. We'll see them play Bound Siren. This card's a really good piece of interaction. It has Hunt, So as opposed to attacking my life total directly, it attacks my board spaces, my units. This doesn't happen until end of turn. Yeah, I think I messed up. So, because I saw this in their hand, I think I definitely should have not played this the -2 defense spot, because I could have predicted that they were gonna play this out here. It was bad on my part. Alright, so we've got 2 corpses in play now. So I think I want to go ahead and haunt here to clear off these corpses to deal damage to my opponent's board here. Wow. I guess they were expecting me to play a unit there, and they wanted to kill something better. That worked out pretty well for me. Put the Noble Guardian out. Cosmic Cage is pretty good. Corpse management / interaction. Opponent doesn't have a ton of proactive plays here, which seems good for us. Nailed it. And then this is going to deal 2 damage to itself, but also 2 damage to this, which is good for us. So that dies. Assembling the top row is pretty predictable, but I also think it's probably just a good play. If they clear it out somehow, we have the Saint to clear corpses back out later. How does the ordering on the spells get decided is something I'm not sure I understand. So, like, I have Assemble and they have Cosmic Cage. How does it get decided that my Defiant Spirits get made and then their thing makes them soulless? Is there some type of... I'm sure there's some type of consistency or rule there, but I don't understand with the simultaneous plays how the ordering... No, I know what the soulless mechanic... what is a soulless mechanic? It wipes all modifiers off the card, and it means it doesn't leave a corpse behind when it dies. So anything that says success happens second. So target row and erase all corpses happen simultaneously, and then successes happen simultaneously. Okay, that's a good distinction to be aware of. My opponent has a ton of spells in their hand. I think I'm just going to go ahead and play this Mana Magnet out here. I think they're pretty likely to play a spell, and we're ahead on board. All of their spots give -1 toughness here, so I'm going to go ahead and play Noble Guardian out, so that way, if they deploy the Gold Knight, we can kill it with this trigger. Sure, I understand what success means. I didn't realize that success resolves at a separate time from the rest of the card, was my confusion. So we're currently a little bit ahead on board. I'm going to go ahead and just play out the Saint so she can start building up a little bit. She'll also clear this corpse out here for us so we can play another unit there next turn. Yeah, so Soulless means the card loses all modifiers and it doesn't leave a corpse behind. So when these die, there won't be things behind them there. Two damage to everything, and then force me to redraw 2. That's fine. Oh, they were gonna force me to redraw that one. That's good for us. Okay, we're up by 10 points now. That's a great one to draw. Start pumping up the board. Wonder if we'll see Shadow Stirrings out of them. This lets them race pretty nicely. So gets all their corpses away and then gives them a bunch of 3/2s. That could catch them back up in terms of pressure. Noble Guardian will help with that a little bit though, dealing 3. This card seems really good. Good, consistent source of damage. A bunch of removal here. Yeah, always, Hespera. It's perfectly fine. Alright, so they're gonna clear out my board here. So this deals 2 damage for each corpse they control each turn. That's fine though. Put this at this spot here. Pops up the rest of the jam. They don't have a way to kill this that they've drawn yet. This is a card. This card seems really good. It's a unique card that feels very powerful, and it feels like this is just kind of like a Hail Mary at this point. Like, I guess I could Tremor at this point. Yeah, let's just do that. This deals with their Soulless because we're ahead on, yeah. And put a conceded. Yeah, I think we're just too far ahead at this point. We're up 15 points of life. We're gonna keep their board in check here. All right. Turns out this deck, after feeling mediocre, the first couple got better once we understood how to play that. Weird how that works in card games, right? In fact, the deck feels more reasonable once we understand the mechanics. Knowing what to look for in our opening hand and whether or not we want to mulligan, also valuable. I think the 0/20 that gets bigger cleaning out corpses might be one of my favorite cards in the game so far, I think. Seems really, really good. Corpse management. Anytime you could turn corpses into a valuable resource seems very powerful, because normally there's something that's detrimental, so being able to turn a detriment into a positive is something that's very good. Ira's one of your favorites too, yeah. Yeah, CN seems great. We've got 2 spirit generators. We got something to pump them up. Got a couple pieces of removal that I'm going to go ahead and hide here. Maybe I don't hide the removal and I hide my threats. Let's try that this time. I'm going to hide my threats to start. Scarred Disciple on the ones that have +2 HP seems real good. As he makes spirits and deals 2 damage to himself, so if he can live on one of these, he makes an extra spirit. I like the rock soundtrack, chat. Good heavy metal guitar riff. Okay, and this has Hunt, so this is gonna attack our things directly each turn. So it took two from their card, and then did 2 to itself, and then hide my mana magnet. Play Prophet of Gears out here. Try to start pumping up my friendos. Noble Guardian out. Start taking control of the board here a little bit. This card's good too, because it sits around and can collect modifiers from the Prophet. So we've hit this almost parity. I'm a little bit ahead on life. I'm a little bit ahead on board. What do I got here? This erases things with Hunt. Kill a random opposing creature 3 HP or less. Slow 8 soulless. That's a big in. I think I just want to get the Saint down here. Just clean out the corpses and start beating them down. They don't have a face-up way to deal with her, so that seems good. Yeah, Saint sounds great. That's pretty good. Even though this murdered a couple of my things there, it's like not a big deal because my Saint's gonna sit here and power them back up. I'm gonna go ahead and just scattershot here, because this is only on 2 life at this point. If they play a spell instead of a unit, we could possibly kill both of these. Alright, them hitting the Spirit twice instead of the Saints is real good. She's going up to 12 here, 12-10. This cannot render her soulless, so that's nice. I think I'm just trying to erase this here. That's what I like. Get them off the back of the ability to kill this, essentially. Just, like, let her go to town. The Saint is winning the race by a pretty significant margin. Especially if we wipe out this 4-4. And then we have Tremor that can clean this up next turn. Just like keep picking away at their board while we hit them with this while they can't interact with it. And even if they do find a way to interact with this, we're ahead by enough life at this point that we can just interact with their board and try and stay ahead. Okay, they still have 9 power, but we still have 14, so we're getting ahead by 5 each turn, which is a pretty good margin to get ahead by. Scattershot. I think I want to deploy Noble Guardian here. So that way we can have, this does 3 to at random, so this could kill the 5-2, which sounds ideal. See how the scattershot ends up. Aha! Won the coin flip. Winning that coin flip's probably the end of the game. Supposed to be the final interface for the game. Uncertain. I mean, there's always lots of different types of games, Hyper. Believe it or not, some people like to make things because they enjoy making things. This isn't a game made by a large company, it's a small indie project. There's tons of great small indie games out there. It's kind of like asking why ever make any other games? Because, well, there's already plenty of them out there, right? Why bother? How many corpses? I think we just play the, actually, I'm gonna play the Soul Sculptor, I think. And make something +2/+2 every turn. Cannot. Maybe pump this up before it dies. That's pretty good. So they're gonna get to burn this out. So they are finally ahead on attack, but they've only got 3 turns left, and they have to make up 22 points of damage in 3 turns. The left-right split is very different. Based on how the board states are laid out, it feels like it kind of makes sense. Like stacking this vertically would become crammed. It feels like left to right they use their space a lot more efficiently than they otherwise would. I'm gonna play Disciple out here because it's got points of attack. Right, they have the Behemoth. So, some units in this game have a mechanic called Hunt, which lets them attack other units directly, but generally speaking, every turn your units attack everything on their board. Or your units attack their face directly, yeah? That's a 7/10. That is definitely a card that can help them catch back up this life total differential. I guess I'm just playing this out because it's got 5 attack. It also heals me 1. Alright, so I think the play is just Haunt this turn, right? Because it'll get rid of these 2 corpses and it'll kill these Soulless before they hit me. We gotta deal 3 without taking 13. We are taking 7 again from the Void Cursed. This is the last turn of the game. Game ends on turn 12. But it looks like we're gonna hit someone, one or both of us are gonna hit 0 this turn. I would imagine. And then this is gonna die to its own trigger here, right? It's gonna give something -1 and then kill itself. Yeah, 7-12. That was a close game. The Soulless almost caught them back up there. They fell a little bit behind at the beginning, and we were able to pressure by continuing to go wide. We did top down in earlier versions and felt like a lot of the screen was unused. Cards in hand were too cramped. Creatures on the board to require something. Yeah, I think especially if you want to go with the aspect ratio that you have here. Like, if you want the aspect ratio to be a typical monitor on the side, like, I almost feel like the left to right makes the most sense. Like, if you wanted to have the game be, like, tall, like on a mobile game, like on a cell phone, maybe you could do top-bottom where you, like, hold the phone vertical and have top to bottom, but I feel like for, like, a typical computer where your screens are wider than they are tall, it makes sense to have it split like it does now. Especially with trying to show both players' hands face up like this. I'm glad we played some more games with this after the first couple feeling awkward against Prisoner 218. Definitely feel like we got to see some of the ideal synergy there that the deck is looking to do. Basically, I feel like the key to looking at what this deck was doing was that you basically want to make sure you have an Assemble, a Sacred Disciple, a Scarred Disciple, or a Fading Spirit in your opening hand to kind of get the board rolling. Are there anything else that makes Defiant Spirits? What are other things that make Defiant Spirits? Cleanse makes a spirit. Each turn, if a gate is present on your board, that's a weird design. Neat though. It's slow, so it's probably not good enough. I think you want things that summon spirits at the very beginning. Yeah, these are all, looks like we have all the Defiant Spirit generators. But yeah, basically, having Scarred Disciple or Assemble in your opener seems pretty important. And then Fading Spirit can be an okay follow-up if you don't have one of those. The best card in the deck, though, is definitely Saint. She felt really good at not only managing the corpses from our different spirits that died, but also just, like, beating people down very quickly. I assume the difference is that most card games were mostly made for paper, for sitting at a table before the internet came along. Yeah, I agree. I think, like I said, I think the left-right design fits what Fatal Core is looking to do in terms of the amount of information it's presenting and uses it more. People are just pretty resistant to things that are that different, so it's tough to... People have to play a little bit or watch it a little bit to get used to that idea. It's funny, that was one thing. Declan came in last Friday when we were playing, and he was like, oh, it's left to right instead of up and down. Like, a very observant child. All right, at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and call that a day for the day. For folks who are my regulars, remember, I'm going to be back tonight. We're going to be trying out Outer Wilds for the first time. If you're into card game stuff, I'm going to be back tomorrow morning with some more Runeterra, and then Friday, we're going to be doing Runeterra into Fatal Core again. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Remember, if you want to check this one out, you can check out their... website to play for free there at fatalcoretcg.com right in your browser. And if you missed any of this session, it's all going to end up on my YouTube channel, along with a couple of other times we've already done Fatal Core in the past. So everybody stay safe out there wherever you're at in the world. Peace, folks. And there's their Discord channel there if you want to join and talk about the game with some other folks that play it.